How do you stay mentally engaged long enough and persist enough for you to have the victory? Like what's some of the keys and successes of that?
Yeah. Especially in the sport that I do, you're out there for 12 hours a day, 11 hours a day. It's a long day, and you have to find certain things that work for your own mental capacity. I like to joke around. I am a guy that's very easygoing, especially when I'm competing. If I'm joking and I'm laughing, I'm relaxed. Yeah. And when my mental state is relaxed, I'm the most dangerous. And so some people they need to be high strung. They need to be like agitated, aggressive to be in their mode. But for me, it's more if I'm relaxed, if it's something actually that my dad does not like because he likes to see Garrett focused. But for me, my focus is being relaxed. I mean, me actually letting go of everything that I'm, that's going on in the world, that's going on in my head, and just going out there and having fun. That's the most important thing for me and my mental toughness.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, now stress comes in, you're coming down to the wire, you have a situation where you absolutely got to perform.
Right.
It's easy to get tense. Mm-hmm. How do you stay relaxed?
Just know what I'm doing this for. The decathlon is an extremely difficult event, not only physically, but mentally. And finishing it is the best feeling that I've experienced in my life. And so knowing that if I make it through this, I'm going to get that feeling again. I think it's easy to refocus if I get off the rails or the tracks. It's easy to get right back on it if I can picture it.
So. That's good. And so speaking of decathlon, but many of the listeners may not have a clue what that means. What are the events in the decathlon that you have to compete at?
So the decathlon is 10 events over 2 days. You start with the 100 meters, the long jump, the shot put, high jump, and the 400 meters. That's day one. Day two starts with the 110 hurdles, discus, pole vault, javelin, and then you finish with the mile. And they're all just about spread apart by about an hour each, 30 minutes to an hour. So you get a little bit of time in between, but
not much.
You're there all day long, man.
Not much.
Yeah.
And of all the events, what are your favorite or which ones are you the best at?
All right. I'll start with the favorite because obviously they're my favorites. I'm going to go with pole vault. I started pole vaulting in 7th grade. It was the first event that I ever did in track and field. Yeah. And it's also the most difficult it's the most technically difficult in the decathlon. Being good at the pole vault is a sign of a good decathlete. Mm-hmm. I'd say my second one would be, I'm going to have to go with 110 hurdles, solely because I learned the hurdles from scratch when I got to college. In high school, I was just a pole vaulter and a high jumper. You couldn't pay me to touch the track to try and run any of that. And that drove my father insane. But I think that once I got to college and I had an understanding of what I was good at, I pushed it in the hurdles, and it is one of my best events to this day.
Got it.
And I would say my ultimate favorite is the javelin, solely because it is the 9th event. There is really not a lot of thinking in it. It's just go out there, throw it as hard as you can. And I like to scream when I compete. And so I just kind of let it all out, all the frustrations from the competition. And you're almost done too. So
yeah, I got it. There's got to be a little bit of relief. It's going to end real soon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when did you learn when did you discover that you were good at sports?
So I was a late bloomer. I was probably about 5, 6 in 10th grade. When I got to college, I was 6 feet. When I graduated, I was 6'3". I've always been coordinated and fast, but I just haven't had the strength and muscle to go behind it. Mm-hmm. My dad put me and my brother in sports since we were 4 or 5 years old. He started us. I mean, I've done everything from gymnastics to swimming to football, baseball, all around, just to try and see what I'm good at and what I like. And kind of just like any other American kid, I think that their dad always wants them to be in some type of sport because it's constructive and it helps your mental toughness in a way. So, and also it's good just to grow up around different types of people like that. So I think sports has been honestly the biggest impact that I've ever had in my entire life. So
man, interesting. I was raised as a sports kid too.
Yeah. And
my dad always said, you're either going to be in a sports or a sport team facility program, or you're going to go work.
Right.
And he said, I prefer you to be in sports. And it changed my life. I actually had the same philosophy with my kids, so I can relate to that.
Structure.
Yeah. and I realized that there was a transfer of what it takes to be successful in life. You got a challenger, you got some challenge you got to overcome. You got some type of physical fitness that you have to have, some type of physical skill, a team, you got to operate in a team. And then you had a coach that usually was there to help you get to the next level, because we are most dangerous to ourselves. We believe our own lies and, the restrictions we put on ourselves. It's been transformational. Sounds like your dad too was very inspirational in your life. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say that, my dad was definitely tough on me and my brother, but it molded us into better young men. He played football at Valdosta State, and then he went on to the practice squad with the Dallas Cowboys for a year. And so I kind of got a little bit of I want to do that. This is my dad. He's my superhero. I want to be a football player when I grow up. I want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. So he kind of instilled that as just a belief that we are able to be superior athletes. We just have to be able to work at it.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say my biggest inspiration would be my brother. He played baseball his whole life. He played at Florida State. He got drafted in the 7th round to the Detroit Tigers, and made it all the way up to AAA and tore his labrum. And so he's got a lot of adversity that he's been through, and he's always been an open book for me. And I think having an older brother that's 3.5 years older than you, it's almost like a blueprint. And so being able to have that blueprint and follow it and understand that I can be amazing if I put my mind to it and if I actually work at it, I think it's been wonderful. So my family is the single most important thing to me in my life. So
yeah, the little I know of you, I could see that.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned something that it's hearing in your words all the time is about with your brother. Now, you never went to high school together. We were 4 years apart in school, correct?
I was in 9th grade. He was in 12th. But Hunter was always the man. He's the biggest person on campus. He's 6'9", 6'8.5". So everyone was always talking to him. I didn't have any access to him when we were in high school. Yeah. It was more so when he went off to college. And, I kind of felt him missing. I started reaching out to him more, started calling him more. And I think our relationship grew right then and there to what it is now. And it is the best relationship that I have in my life.
That's awesome. And I have found true in my life that when somebody's going on a journey and they come back and are willing to tell you, or you can see that journey and ask them how that journey's going, it adds more confidence and ability to do it. You mentioned a blueprint. So if you couldn't mind, walk me through what is that blueprint to you? What were you looking for? What did you draw from that relationship that helped you succeed in where you're at today?
For me, I was looking for a purpose. I think that I grew up with ADHD. It was tough for me to focus in class. I was always the crazy little kid running around at my brother's sporting events. And it kind of made me realize that if I focus a little bit more, I can have something for myself. And I actually started out playing baseball. I really enjoyed baseball. They put me in center field and I pitched a little bit, and I was actually really good at it, but I knew that was my brother's sport. And it's not like a competition thing or anything like that, but I just wanted something for my own, or something that I could call my own. And my English teacher actually asked me to come out and pole vault 7th grade. And immediately my dad was like, "What the heck are you doing? This is crazy." And I think that is why I loved it so much, because it's something my brother couldn't do. It's something my dad couldn't do. Really, anyone in my family could not get on a pole in pole vault. So it was unique.
Truly yours then. Yeah, truly yours.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So walk me through a training regimen for you now. It's obviously 10 sports, lots of technique, lots of discipline, lots of time you got to practice.
Right.
How does it work for you?
Yeah. So I would say now it's a little easier just because it's not so technical. I have muscle memory. I understand how the
So you've got the techniques down.
I've got the technique down. Okay. I mean, there are obviously some events that I can get a little bit better in with the pole vault and understanding how to get higher. But at the end of the day, I'd say it's more about maintaining strength and getting more explosive, because I've spent about 10 years working on that technique. So any given week, it's a 6-day-a-week practice. I mean, you're doing something just about every single day. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, those are our lift days and our throw days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're on the track. So you're either hurdling, you're long jumping, you're always doing some type of 800 meter or 1500 meter work. And it's a lot mentally. I think that's the point of that training, is to kind of challenge yourself up here, because physically, I mean, we're able, right?
Yeah.
It's all about if you can commit to it and understand, I got to make this happen and I have to choose it in my mental to do so. I think that the practices are more tailored towards that. It's like, oh, I don't want to go here today. I don't want to do this. I don't want to run a 1500, but I know if I do that, I'm going to be loads better. So,
So speaking of that, so when you're doing your training, it's really more mental training as much as it is anything, because 10 days, 2 days, 10 events, you got a lot of time to think.
Right.
So it's how do you stay out of your own head, so to speak?
Yeah. And I mean, it's way easier said than done, because you're just sitting there. I think the biggest challenge for a decathlete is, especially when you're just learning the event, it's going into the 100 and not thinking about the last event, which is the 1500.
Yeah. Because
Because everyone hates the mile. I mean, it's literally the last event. You know exactly how much you have to finish behind a person or in front of them to win, to lose.
Yeah.
And so like almost all the anxiety comes down to that. And so I would say that it's just about keeping a level head the whole time that you're out there. Like I said before, I like to joke around. Actually, one of the Australians at the Olympics for me came up to me and said, Garrett, it was before the 1500. How do you stay so calm? And like, I'm looking at you right now, everyone's pacing back and forth and you're just chilling in the chair. And I'm just like, I know what's going to happen. Like I've almost went through this scenario about 100 times in my head. And so I know exactly what to expect. And there's nothing to be nervous about, nothing to be anxious about.
Yeah.
I just have to go out there and execute.
Yeah.
So keeping a level head is difficult and it comes with experience, but the more I do decathlons, the easier it gets.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You mentioned something that I find very interesting, when not getting in your head or staying out of your own head.
Right.
In sales, in business, in life, so many people live in the past.
Yes.
And they can't, one thing I've learned is you can't fix the past. Right? The past is the past. You can't change it. Right. But what you can do is you can stay focused in the moment. And it seems like the more you stay present and you can stay loose, the better you can perform.
Yes, 100%. I mean, that goes with absolutely everything. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, the more that you are in the present, the better your outcome is going to be. And I just feel like, yeah, that's hard to do. But at the same time, if you appreciate what you're doing enough, it should not be. I mean, if I'm in love with what I do, and so I appreciate everything that I'm doing, especially while I'm doing it. And I think that's how I stay in the moment and that's how I stay present. And it's, like I said, easier said than done.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I know that when you graduated college, you had to make a decision, go pro or stay amateur. And more importantly, I want to talk about two things. One, you weren't always a professional athlete. You were in the workforce. You were doing other things, other occupations. What other things did you do?
So I, after sports were over, it was 2017. I always wanted to be a financial advisor. I think that was my calling. I thought that I would be very good at it. I'm a people person. I can talk to people, and I can learn stuff on the fly. I think that I owe that to athletics. So after 2017 was over, so that was when I retired from track the first time, I started working with WFG, World Financial Group. And there was a guy there named Bill Barnett. He has a Jacksonville office. And it just seemed to me like he believed in me, gave me a chance, an opportunity to just see what I'm made of. And I think that is, I'm such a competitive person that's exactly what I want. Mm-hmm. And so after a time, I realized that I was more into the side of the financial part of it than the actual team building or the actual getting people to come join. And so I had some family at Episcopal School of Jacksonville where I went to school, and they owned their own business in Principal Financial Group. And so that's when I moved from WFG to Principal, and that was wonderful. I mean, that experience was exactly the way that I expected it to be. It's everything that I wanted it to be. I learned, I sold, I did wonderful. I think I was the South Region Newcomer of the Year, like got all these cool awards. So it was a validation I think I needed in that instance. Mm-hmm. It was just the only problem was I felt like I was missing something. And that was that athletic, competitive mind that I can't sit still. I have ADHD.
Right.
Can't sit behind a desk for very long. And so just that itch is kind of what moved me on from principal.